So you were born from New York, Poughkeepsie, and you're German. So your parents brought you from Germany.
No, I was born here in the United States of America, in Poughkeepsie, New York, St. Francis Hospital, on July 6th, 1928.
And when you were here, uh, what's your fondest memory of when you were a kid?
My fondest memory,
Mm-hmm.
celebrating Christmas.
Celebrating Christmas. What did you ever get anything you wanted for Christmas?
No, I never got everything that I wanted for Christmas.
Um, what was what was something that was interesting that you were happy about that you ever got for Christmas?
When I got my first tricycle,
Nice. Um, and then fast forward a little bit. Uh, into high school, were you did you play sports?
I did not play on any varsity teams in high school.
Okay. Um, but were you into sports, or what was your passion?
Yes, I enjoyed playing sports with the other students.
And what was your passion?
Pardon?
What was your passion? What were you very passionate about during those times?
Playing baseball.
Baseball. Did you were you a fan of Babe Ruth?
Yeah,
Yeah. And then
I never saw Babe Ruth play, and I didn't see any professional teams play until I was in high school.
oh wow. So then after high school, you then later on went to college.
I went to college from high school.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from high school in June and I started college in September. No, in August.
August. Okay. Um, how was college?
College was very interesting and it was difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now you obviously went to a great college, not just any college.
I went to the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, the oldest engineering school in the country.
Nice. Would you say that they were great teachers?
They were excellent professors and teachers and instructors.
What did you know kind of an idea of where you wanted to go and what your profession was going to be?
I knew I wanted to be an engineer.
Okay. And so when you got out of college, fast forward a little bit more, you graduated. How did it feel to walk across the carpet?
I was very happy to receive a degree from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, the oldest engineering school in the country.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And then after college, you were still in New York at this time, correct?
Yes,
And then, so after college, I imagine you then got a job in New York.
I got a job in Poughkeepsie, New York at IBM, the local IBM facility, on January 2nd, 1950.
1950. Okay. Now during that time, there was a lot of. It was a difficult time around the world. It seems like.
Pardon?
around the world, it seems like it was a difficult time. There was wars and there was, different militaries disputing and whatnot. Did any of that concern you or bother you?
Yes.
What? Go on.
The Korean War started in 1950, and I was very concerned about that because I had to register for the draft, and I entered the service in 1950.
And so after that job, you went into the service then.
Basically, yes.
So you had to leave your job at IBM and go into the service?
I couldn't work at IBM and be in the Army at the same time.
Right.
So I had to join the Army.
That's a heck of a decision to have to make.
The decision was made for me. I was drafted by the military and went into service.
So then you went over to Korea? Were you ever stationed?
I never left the States
okay.
during the Korean War.
Okay. So I imagine you were just stationed maybe south of New York, or were you in New York?
I was stationed for basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey. I went to leadership school at Fort Dix, New Jersey, and I went to OCS at Camp Riley or Fort Riley, Kansas.
Okay, and how was the Army? What was it like? It was obviously probably nerve-wracking.
Well, it wasn't nerve-wracking. It was restricted military service. I had to do what they told me to do.
Right. And how long did you serve?
2 years.
2 years. That's pretty good. I bet you were glad to be out.
Yes.
Now, did you, when you got out, did you continue to, did you find a job immediately when you got out?
I was on military leave of absence for service-related duty from IBM, and I decided that after I got out of service, I would go back to school and get a degree in metallurgy.
Oh, okay. And then so how did that degree go? Did you go through with it?
I returned to school after getting out of the military. I went back to Rensselaer and got a master's degree in metallurgical engineering.
Wow, that's awesome. Congrats. Now, what about your wife, your first child? Where was all this in the midst of?
I was married on September 6th, 1953. My first child was born on February 10th, 1955.
Okay, so when you just got out of the service, backtracking a little, you got out of the service, and then a year later you got married before you went for your bachelor's?
I got out of service in October of 1953, I think. I had gotten married in September of 1953, and my first child was born February 10th, 1955.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're a new father in 1955. You just finished doing service. You were into college. Now, did you finish your medical in New York?
I did not take any medical courses while working on.
Forgive me. Engineering. Forgive me. That's
I got a master's degree in metallurgical engineering on June 10th, 1955.
Okay, gotcha. So that was the same year. Okay. And then after your first child was born, what was the plan from there?
To finish my degree in metallurgical engineering and get a job.
Okay. So did you see that happening in New York? Did you originally plan to stay in New York?
No, I was on educational leave from IBM, and IBM did not retain me after I got my metallurgy degree. So I had to go and find a new job,
Okay.
which I did. I graduated on June 10th, 1955, and I went to work for Thomas A. Edison Company in Orange, New Jersey, in July of 1955.
Okay. And then what about your second child?
What second job?
You okay?
No, second child.
Huh?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. Thanks. What about your second child?
What about second job?
So after you got the job, then you did.
Which job?
Well, you were off, and you were looking for a job after the medical, or after. I keep saying medical.
Please, I have not had any medical training.
No,
I am an engineer.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So the engineer, it's just because we're in this facility. I think that's the whole thing about it. So forgive me. So after you got your degree as an engineer, you had your first child, and then how long after your first child was your second child? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I graduated as a metallurgical engineer on June 10th, 1955. I was employed by Thomas A. Edison Company in June of 1955.
Okay. How many children have you had at this time?
In 1955, on June 10th, I graduated from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute with a degree as Master of Metallurgical Engineering, and I had one child.
Okay. So then, how long before you made the decision to come to Detroit, to Michigan?
I came to Detroit in October of 1957.
Okay. So it was 2 years after. Now, was that you and your wife's decision, or did you initially make the decision to come to Michigan?
I was offered a job by Mr. Walter A. Jominy, the chief metallurgical engineer of Chrysler Corporation. He offered me a job as their welding engineer in the metallurgy department of Chrysler Corporation, which I accepted in October of 1957, and I moved to Detroit, Michigan in October of 1957.
Wow, that's incredible. What were times like back then? What was it like here in Michigan?
In what respect?
I guess as far as like the industry,
There were
and
jobs
the people.
available in the automotive industry for engineering personnel.
Now the big three, was that even thought of at that time, or was it just Ford?
There were three automobile companies actively involved in producing automobiles in 1957.
Okay,
That was General Motors, Chrysler Corporation, and Ford. They were called the Big Three. There were other automobile companies actively producing automobiles in the United States at that time.
what now in
Like
other
American Motors, Studebaker, Nash. These were some of the other companies making automobiles in the States.
Okay, so they're not as known today, or even are they still around, these companies?
Some of those companies are still functioning today.
In other places, like such as other bigger cities like New York, Chicago, LA, they have a really good transit system, and they have a really good, whether it be a train or whatnot. Why is it that there was no train built here for the mass public? I mean, there's a train if you want to travel far distances, but in New York and
Are you talking about public transportation?
correct.
Why isn't there a public transportation?
In Michigan.
There is public transportation in Michigan.
Why is there not a train though? Why didn't they build a public train? There's a train, but it only goes far distances. I'm saying in New York and LA and certain places, there's a train and it'll stop at several different stops every 10, 15 minutes. Why didn't they build that here in Michigan, do you think?
I really don't know.
Okay. Do you think that the auto companies bought them out? Possibly.
Auto companies are not involved in railroads except for transportation of their products.
Right.
In other words, you can send a car from Detroit to other locations on a railroad car.
Okay. Okay. So back to working for Ford. What was it like in your first year working there? Did you see a vast improvement in your life as soon as you signed up?
Yes, I made a salary, so much per month, which supported my family and me.
What was one of your favorite moments of working, or not even just working, just during those times? What was the moment where you were just like, this is great?
At that point, when I went to work for Chrysler Corporation, they were building an experimental turbine vehicle which used a turbine engine for propulsion. And that was interesting, working on the turbine car.
Yeah, that had to be mind blowing, like during those times, because there was only so many different electronics and stuff compared
The
to
turbine car was a gas-driven engine propelled by a turbine engine.
Did it have a radio inside of it?
Nearly every car built in the United States at the time offered an electronic radio as a
As
component of the vehicle.
Sure. So then, fast forward a little bit. You left Chrysler, and then you worked for Ford.
I was laid off at Chrysler under a normal company plan, and I went to work for Ford Motor Company.
Okay. What did you like about Ford? Did you like it?
As I enjoyed over 50 years of employment by Ford Motor Company.
Yeah,
When I retired in 1995.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm sure they really appreciate your service, and you're an incredible person. You've accomplished so much within your lifetime, and you continue to amaze and accomplish, and that's highly admirable. Now, what would you say if you were giving help to anyone? Piece of
If I were
advice.
to what?
If you were to give any piece of advice of someone who wants to work for the automotive industry, what piece of advice would you give them?
First piece of advice would be to attend and graduate from high school and college, especially engineering.
And during that time, you wrote a book, which is a heck of an accomplishment. Not too many people write books in their lifetime. I don't want to talk about what's in the book or whatever, just that you wrote a book. That's amazing. So, how did you find time when you're so busy? How did you find time to write a book?
It was something that I had a desire to accomplish, so I made sure that I found enough time to do the writing.
Now, was it every day, or was it like once for a long period of time every month, or what was the writing process?
It was spontaneous when I found that I had some time that I could spend researching and writing.
Now, I think that you're a great writer, and you use incredible punctuation and what have you. Did you ever think that could have been your career?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Did you ever forgive me, in your beginning stages, when someone's trying to find their path in life and trying to figure out what they're going to do with themselves. I know you wanted to be an engineer, and you were pretty set on that, and you went for it. but obviously you had to pick up writing very early to write a book. So,
I had courses in English throughout high school and college,
okay.
and that stimulated me to spend some time writing essays and perhaps even a book.
Okay. Um, uh, to get a little bit off topic, how about family? If you don't want to talk,
How about what?
how about family? Not the family that you made, but the family, that you had, your brothers and sisters. How was your relationship with them?
I had a good relationship with my brothers and sisters and my parents and other relatives.
What what would you say? What was it like? Walk me through it. Did you guys always meet for Christmas or meet for the holidays, or what was it like during your busy career?
With my family, we spent family Christmases together, and most holidays were spent in family activities.
Okay. When we very first started talking, you mentioned that one of your favorite Christmases was your tricycle, where you received a tricycle for Christmas. How old were you during that? Do you remember?
I really don't remember.
Okay.
It was probably 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, okay. Was it what is it, a Schwinn?
Pardon?
Do you remember what kind of bike it was?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. What was now surely, I know you loved work and you loved learning. Um, However, what did you like to do in your spare time? What did you like to do just for fun?
Well, I had a couple hobbies. Stamp and coin collecting was one of them.
Yeah, that's a great hobby. What about a lot of people go to the movies today, go to the zoo. What's the things you might have done? Activities that were fun.
Well, at that time it was common for the movie houses to show serials on Saturdays so that the children could attend a movie made especially for children,
Okay.
like The Lone Ranger. It was a movie series made specifically for children.
Yeah, I'm slightly familiar with it. Um, did you? What was your favorite when you watched a movie? Just popcorn? Did you ever have candies, or what was
Oh
your
yeah,
favorite thing to eat?
every movie theater had a counter where they could buy edible to eat.
Okay. What what was your favorite? Since we're on the topic of food, what was your favorite dish? What was your favorite thing to not necessarily prepare and make yourself, but out of the entire world, what was your favorite
My favorite food was steak.
steak? Now, did it matter who cooked it, or who did you especially like to make steak?
Well, my father had a restaurant. I liked the way they made steak. My mother cooked steak. And anytime I could get a steak, I would enjoy eating it.
That's awesome. And then would you say you were pretty healthy?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I had the normal run-of-the-mill illnesses as a child.
Now, today's food, there's a lot of preservatives and there's a lot of junk food and so forth. Would you say that back during those times that there was less of that? That there was more pure food? Because everything today is so mass produced, whether it be steak, milk, or what have you. So because it's mass produced, the quality is not always there. Do you think there was more quality in the food during those times? Or do you think
that is a matter of opinion.
Okay.
What the quality of the food is, that depends on the person eating it.
Correct.
Either he likes it or he doesn't.
Right. Certainly. What was your father like?
That's a good question.
Did he not talk much? Or what was he like?
My father spent quite a bit of time working to earn a living and to support his family. So as a child, I didn't see my father that often. Yes, I saw him every day, but he was always working.
Coming and going?
Yes.
What
the heck is that?
Oh, that was just some door closing. What about your mother? What was your mother like?
She was at home. She took care of the house. She prepared meals and did the normal housework that women did in those days.
How many siblings do you have?
I had 2 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay. Now you fast forward to today, you had a lot of kids. So
my wife and I had 11 children.
That's amazing. 'Cause I'm sure it was hard then, but people don't even fathom that these days. They have maybe 2, 4 at most. You know, so what was it like raising 11 kids?
It was a busy time for everyone concerned.
Right. Now you obviously, from what I've seen, you love them a lot. Every single one.
Yes, that's true.
Right. So, what did you want out of your family to be? Did you want them to do whatever they wanted as far as like their dreams and their goals? Or did you have a set path of what you were thinking in future, maybe even engineering for everybody? Like a lot of families, fathers and whatnot, they pass down the legacy. You know, so if this person was a basketball player, their son's going to be a basketball player, and so forth. Did you kind of envision the same kinds of?
I was hoping that my children would get an education and find gainful employment after graduating from school, whether it be high school or college.
Right. Now, every single one of them did finish college at some point. Did they? Did they not? Or
As far as I know, each one of my children had a chance to advance their education as far as they wanted to.
yeah, I'd agree with that. You made 11 bright and beautiful children. So that in itself it's an amazing accomplishment. Um, what's I know you like to go on vacation here and there, and your favorite place was Germany.
That was one of our favorite places, yes.
What what was your other favorite places?
Traveling within the United States was very interesting and educational and entertaining.
Can you walk me through some places other than Germany overseas you might have seen? Were there any other places you visited?
Well, we visited France, Holland, Switzerland, and that's about it.
Never Japan or Australia.
Never Australia, never Asia or Africa or South America.
Yeah. Is there any place that you wish you would have been to that you never went to? That you wish you would have maybe checked out?
I can't think of one at the present time.
What about Alaska? I know it's really cold in Alaska. Did you ever at any point visit Alaska?
I had plans to visit Alaska, but never made it.
Okay. Yeah, I hope to go there one day. I think it's awesome. Other than New York, where was your favorite place?
That's a difficult assignment.
In the States, I'm sorry.
I like Michigan. I like New Jersey. I have visited some of the western states, and I like them. There isn't any place that I didn't care for.
Right. Now you were a very helpful person, and you helped people out when they needed it. You got people through hard times. Did you ever donate, like a mass donation to charity or anything?
Donate a
Or
what?
did you ever? Let me be more specific. Like, you helped your family out. You were a family man. You always looked out for everyone that needed it. Now, other organizations, though, or anything else, did you ever? Now, if somebody's walking around and they give $5 here, $5 there, yeah, that's understandable. But was there anything that you really believed in, may it be cancer or breast cancer awareness or whatever that may be? Did you ever donate to anything like that?
Yes, I've donated to food stamps, United Nations Children's Fund, the Detroit Soup Kitchen, Salvation Army, and those are some of the other charities that I donated to.
In your time working for Ford, was there any time that they were able to give a mass donation and you were a part of it?
Offhand, I can't think of any. Yes, the Goodfellows Christmas Fund for Children is a big recipient of funds from Ford Motor Company.
Okay, that's awesome. You know, we got the holidays coming up. In November, there's Thanksgiving. What are you most thankful for?
I'm most thankful for my family, my church, my schooling. That's about it.
And then right after that, shortly after, there's Christmas. So at this point in time, not back in history or whatever, at this point in time, today, if Christmas was in a couple weeks, what would you want for Christmas? And it doesn't have to be an item. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. It doesn't have to be some kind of possession, but anything. Even if you could see something happen.
Good health.
Good health. Looking back, is there anything that you wish you would have done different? I mean, like I said before, not to sound redundant, but you lived a great legacy, and you're still living, continue to. What any regrets on anything? Any different paths you thought that maybe you should have took this path or that path?
Offhand, I can't think of anything in my past life that I would change drastically.
And then you talked about faith. What is your thoughts on it?
Pardon?
What's your thoughts on faith?
On faith?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that you should have some religion to think about and to practice.
Right. Now, obviously, you believe that Jesus died for us, and that's why we're here.
Pardon?
Do you believe that Jesus died for us, and that's why we're here?
Yes.
Okay, do you think it matters, though, what religion? Or do you think you should just have some kind of spirituality?
I think it matters which religion you believe in.
That's good. So, what do you think about where we go from here? So you obviously believe that there's heaven. What do you think is the process? Do you think like as soon as we're gone, we're just beamed up to there? Or what do you think it's like?
That is a pretty difficult question to answer.
I know, it's a deep question. One of the reasons I brought it up is because you survived, and you told me that you almost died, and that you saw your brothers, and that you saw Jesus. So, coming back to life, I felt like you would have a understanding of what you think it would be like.
Life after death is a different experience than life before death. I feel that you leave this life and enter a new form of existence.
Do you think that existence still will take place on this earth?
I've often thought about that, and I really couldn't say that it takes place on this earth. We've considered life on other planets. We don't know whether that exists or not.
Right.
So those are unknowns that remain to be seen after we leave this life, which we will do someday.
What do you think, as a human being, that it's most important that all human beings should do besides get an education?
Now, what was that last statement that you made?
As humans, what do you think we should do aside from getting an education and bettering our future? How do you think we should treat each other? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
We should treat each other with truth and honesty.
What's were there any other were there any people you looked up to? Who'd you look up to? Surely there had to be somebody.
What are you asking me? Could you? Should you? Would you?
Yeah, I know. That was a multiple question.
Yes.
Like,
you should. You
like,
could.
instance,
You shall. You will.
For instance, there's there's celebrities, and then during that time there was like Frank Sinatra and whatnot. Was there any icon or iconic person that you marveled at or thought was interesting?
The Pope, for one.
That's which Pope? John?
No, the first Pope I knew was Pope Pius the 11th.
Okay.
And the second Pope I knew was Pope Pius the 12th. And I admired him for the work that he did.
Now, did you see him? Did you ever see him on TV? Well, obviously you saw him on TV. Did you ever see him in person?
Yes. He was the representative of Pope Pius the 11th to the President of the United States, and he was in the United States, and I saw him during his visit to Poughkeepsie, and I heard him talk to the assembled students in Poughkeepsie, and that was very interesting.
Did you get to shake his hand?
No.
Ah, okay. Well, that's pretty marvelous. So, what to wrap it up? What would you say? Any inspiring words that you could say to anybody, if you could?
Be honest, truthful, respect other people and their property, and do the best that you always can.
Okay, that's Bernard Bastian. Thank you so much for this interview. I just wanted to get a better understanding of my grandfather and this great life you've lived and continue to live. You beat death. You're back here. You're living, and it's fantastic. So thank you, Grandpa. Love you.